This week, the Bolshoi Theatre opened its doors to thousands more people in Russia by showing a full-length story ballet live on YouTube. As part of a wider trend in both Russia and the West, the Bolshoi is going to show its productions regularly online. The move has been welcomed by ballet fans. Alice Lanyardo takes a look.
A cello solo from Sleeping Beauty, played by Boris Lifanovsky of the Bolshoi Theatre Orchestra and conducted by Vasily Sinaisky. When else can you go to the Bolshoi Theatre in your pyjamas? Russians were given the opportunity to do just that this week when the legendary theatre started showing full-length ballets on YouTube. So instead of going out into the cold, shelling out on expensive tickets, and then fizzy champagne and dressing up in uncomfortable outfits, Russians were able to watch the Bolshoi while lying on their sofas at home. And it was a good thing too, because Corsair, the first ballet to be shown live on the internet to people throughout Russia, is 3 hours long. The Bolshoi's move is part of a wider trend to make the arts, in particular ballet and opera, accessible to more people, whatever their budget or background. Next week, 700 cinemas in the UK and across the world will broadcast Romeo and Juliet live from Covent Garden. These live cinema showings give people a chance to see ballet and opera close up at a fraction of the price they'd pay for good seats in the Royal Opera House. The camera goes so close that you can see the sweat on the dancers' foreheads. It's a great way to feel more involved with a performance. As well as that, a group of young people who've never seen a ballet before have been chosen by Covent Garden to live tweet and blog about Romeo and Juliet from the actual theatre. Don't worry, they won't be typing on their phones during Romeo and Juliet, but before, after and during the intervals. Seasoned ballet and opera lovers already tweet and blog about performances, giving instant reviews, good and bad, right after shows in London. The Bolshoi started showing ballet and opera in cinemas 2 years ago. They have live relays in 800 cinemas worldwide, but only outside Russia. Ekaterina Novikova, head of press for the Bolshoi Theatre, says that Russian cinemas did not show any interest in the idea, which is why they turned to YouTube.
For some reason, none of Russian cinemas were interested in this project. Because, of course, you would have hoped that such a huge country as Russia would also profit from this, and some cinemas in our country also would project us in direct transmission. But it turned out through these 2 years that we never had any contact from any Russian movie approaching us with this suggestion. And we tried to talk to some nets and never worked out. And for us it was a great pity because Russia is a huge country with a huge land. And surely many people, they just can't even make it to go to Moscow and to see our productions. And we thought it's unfair that our performances are going on the air worldwide, but not in Russia. At the same time, this year, for the first time, for the opening of the Bolshoi, we had this mutual project where we did put on YouTube a direct transmission of our opening gala concert, which also proved to be quite a success. And so step by step, all this developed and all this moved up together. And so yesterday, for the first time, we were showing Corsair in Russia, in the internet. And I would like just to stress, because we've got some angry letters asking us why it's only in Russia. Worldwide, we are showing our ballets in direct transmission in the movies. Only in Russia, we have it on the internet, on our YouTube channel.
Because of rights issues, the Bolshoi can relay a live ballet once and then show the production once more during the following 24 hours, but it can't leave the production up on the internet permanently. But Sunday's relay was a huge hit for those Russians who live too far from Moscow to visit the Bolshoi or who can't afford ticket prices. The Bolshoi estimates that at least 350,000 Russians tuned in. That's about 70 times more than the number of people who can fit into the Bolshoi theatre. Some might worry that if people can see the world's best opera singers or ballerinas for free, there's a danger that they won't bother coming to the theatre anymore. But the Bolshoi says the opposite is the case. They broadcast a ballet called Flames of Paris live from Moscow in France a couple of years ago, and then shortly afterwards brought the Bolshoi on tour to Paris, where they performed the same ballet. Ekaterina Novikova again.
I think there is no danger, even people watching us in the cinemas, and we have already some proofs of this because our first try was Flame of Paris, as I said, and we showed it in Paris, and it was a full house. And then when we were coming in a couple months on tour in Paris, and we were bringing several ballet titles, and of course Flame of Paris is the ballet staged in Soviet Union for the 20th anniversary of the October Revolution. So no one abroad really knows this piece. It's not as one way. But the tickets for this production went on sale first because it became such a hit. So it's on the contrary. When movie and cinema was developed, people were thinking that that's the end of the theater, but it's not true. Theater is a very, very special form of art, and there is no danger.
The Bolshoi Theatre's Ekaterina Novikova. Meanwhile, ballet fans welcome moves to bring their favourite art form to wider audiences. They say that the more people who can see dance for free online or cheaply in cinemas, the more people will get to like art forms they might have thought were not for them. And it's an easy way to compare the styles of different dancers in the same ballets, which makes seeing performances at the theatre much more interesting. I spoke to Linda Uruchutu, who writes for the Ballet Bag website. The Ballet Bag's mission is to prove that ballet is not stuffy, old-fashioned and inaccessible, but relevant, fresh and topical.
Only a very few select groups of people have access to attending ballet performances or dance performances regularly. So essentially, sometimes because of your geographic position, where you live, and how cheap or expensive the tickets are, you will be able to see X number of performances per year. With YouTube, with the prominence of broadband on people's houses, now you can just go online and watch a performance or an extract or any other type of clip. So if companies are now endorsing and trying to bring dance to a wider audience, the best way they can do so is, of course, going online and sharing footage or even, if they can, performances for all people to enjoy. I think that certainly the more video you have available, even if it's not just full performances but extracts, that will help popularize the art form, and then people might feel more encouraged to go. Because sometimes, even if they live where an opera house plays, like say you live in London, sometimes you get intimidated, or you're not very friendly to the idea of attending an opera house, maybe because you have some preconceptions as to how you're supposed to dress or supposed to behave.
I asked Linda whether, as a ballet critic and fan, she's looking forward to seeing more Russian dance online.
Definitely. I mean, the Russian companies are among the best of the world. So if you can see them online in the comfort of your living room, then that's good.
That was Alice Lanyardo with that report. You've been listening to The Voice of Russia in London. But for now, from me, Tom Hedegaard, and the rest of the team, goodbye.